Clashes erupting earlier today at a mass anti-austerity rally in Brussels over far-reaching labour and pension reforms. Egypt denies a leak, claiming there was an explosion on board Egyptair Flight 804 following a forensic expert's anonymous tip-off to a news agency earlier. And a top member of a Syrian radical group linked to Al-Qaeda was welcomed in the United States, but Washington says they didn't know officially. Hi, very good afternoon from me, Kevin Owen. Just turned 5 p.m. here in Moscow. Top story in this hour, riot police were deployed earlier on in Brussels after violence broke out at a massive anti-government rally attended by tens of thousands of people. At least one policeman and several protesters were injured in the clashes there. Belgian police say around 60,000 people took to the streets there in what was initially a peaceful rally organised by 3 unions. Protesters were marching against labour and pension reforms, which would see the working week extended and the retirement age raised. It's not gone down well. Now, someone who was there is Luda van Oest, a former deputy speaker in the Belgian Parliament, is joining us now. Good to see you safe and well. Looked very angry there for a while. Take us through what happened, Luda.
Well, actually, I'm not going to deny the riots that happened at the end of this very peaceful rally, but once again, we should put things in perspective. More than 60,000 people marched peacefully to stress their social demands towards the government. What happened at the end was always deplorable, but it's still, we're talking about a minority of a few tens of people, which is regrettable anyway, but that's the main context. You have to see it. This was a very peaceful rally of people who have a very harsh demand, because the austerity measures that are being imposed on the population are indeed very, very far-reaching.
And the key concerns here, working longer and retiring later, not having such a nice old age. They're the key crux, yeah?
Well, actually, there's a lot of social austerity measures that people protest against, but the most recent anger of people is indeed the new law proposal that the government has proposed to the parliament to abolish the 38-hour working week, which is an accomplishment of the social struggle, historically speaking, not just of Belgium, but of the whole of Europe. They want to abolish it, and they want to make it for the employer totally free how many hours one is supposed to work every week, which is not, it's just not just that in itself. It's a very symbolic thing which attacks the social rights of people in general. But there's so much more, of course. But that is mainly the center of the anger of people today. And then, of course, you already mentioned it, the fact that people are supposed to retire at 67 instead of 65.
There's rather a sense of déjà vu here. Very similar thing happened late last year as well. That ended in violence as well. Why the repeat? Were the security services, the police, not on top of this, or was it a totally different scenario?
Yes, the scenario this time was totally different. First of all, the unions themselves took very much care to already prevent provocateurs and others to get into action, but you can only do so much. And then also there's also the size of the riots there compared to what happened last year. Okay, I mean, it's always regrettable, but it's still a minor compared to last year, which does not mean that what I'm saying is an excuse for it to happen, of course.
The protesters here are contesting these changes being pushed forward. You talked about the retirement age there for 67, but it's the kind of thing that's coming on elsewhere in Europe as well. Look, same thing in Britain, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't it just be that, hey, people have to buckle down and accept that's the way it is these days?
Well, actually, I would disagree with to saying that's the way it is. If you look at the history of social struggle, that was always the argument. There's nothing else we can do. It has to happen for the economy.
Yeah, people died younger years ago, didn't they?
The economy for whom?
But people died younger years ago. Pension funds were a lot healthier, and people lived shorter. They weren't such a drain on those pension funds. So when I say that's the way it is, it kind of is.
Yeah, but at the same time, these people who are supposed to work longer, they also are supposed to work longer hours for lesser pay, and without the assurance of a decent working contract, because one of the other things that the government wants to do is abolish not just a social consultation, but also the permanent contract, so to speak, for people, so that they don't have any no certainty for their future.
Yeah, similar thing must be said also happening in France. A lot of trouble there as well over very similar things.
Yes.
Luda, thanks for coming on talking to us today. Former Deputy Speaker of the Belgian Parliament as you are. It was nice to see you.
Okay.